As the courtroom drama unfolds, one of the most harrowing parts of the trial involves Cassandra, Cassie Ventura's explicit testimony about the so-called freak-offs, the drug-fueled marathon hotel room gatherings orchestrated by Sean Diddy Combs. Cassie's accounts not only reveal disturbing allegations of coercion and violence, but also expose a darker layer of degradation and humiliation that the victims endured. Cassie's detailed descriptions offer a window into a world where boundaries were blurred and consent was systematically undermined. She testified that during these encounters, she was subjected to acts that went beyond abuse into the realm of utter dehumanization. She described situations where she was forced to engage in intimate acts involving bodily fluids, acts that were both physically invasive and emotionally traumatizing. These scenes were not isolated incidents, but part of a pattern of behavior that appeared calculated to break down resistance and assert total dominance over the women involved. Understanding the context, the freak-off culture. To truly grasp the profound gravity of Cassandra, Cassie Ventura's testimony, it's essential to delve into the world she described, one of the infamous freak-offs. These weren't ordinary parties or casual social gatherings. Within the celebrity circles orbiting Sean Diddy Combs, freak-offs functioned as highly orchestrated events that combined a toxic cocktail of substance abuse, manipulation, power imbalance, and coercion. At face value, these parties might have seemed like extravagant celebrity celebrations, the kind that attract attention and buzz in the entertainment industry. But beneath the glitz and glamour was a darker reality, especially for the young women invited or coerced to attend. Many of these women were promised opportunities, financial gain, career advancement, or access to an exclusive social stratum. Some were outright pressured or manipulated into participating, trapped in a cycle fueled by the promise of fame or survival in an industry notoriously ruthless to young talent. These parties were more than social events. They were, in effect, microcosms of control, where Diddy's influence stretched far beyond mere celebrity status. The environment was engineered to disorient and incapacitate, from the ambient lighting and booming music that overwhelmed the senses to the physical layout of the hotel suites, designed to restrict movement and isolate attendees. Drugs and alcohol were prevalent, often encouraged, pushing guests into states of vulnerability where resistance was weakened or impossible. This atmosphere fostered a chilling climate of fear and submission. Refusal to comply with expectations or directives at these freak-offs was met not just with social exclusion, but reportedly with threats, intimidation, and sometimes physical violence. Women who tried to leave or speak out were allegedly met with retaliation, keeping the cycle of abuse tightly bound. In this harrowing context, Cassie's testimony about acts involving bodily fluids reveals a particularly disturbing aspect of the alleged abuse. These acts went beyond physical violation. They were instruments of humiliation and degradation, designed to erode a person's dignity and sense of self. The use of bodily fluids in these encounters, an element profoundly violating in its nature, served to emphasize control by stripping away personal boundaries, reinforcing a stark imbalance of power. The trauma inflicted through such acts cannot be overstated. The impact reverberates not only physically, but psychologically, creating scars that may last a lifetime. The victim's sense of autonomy is violently disrupted, leaving deep emotional wounds that can take years to heal, if they ever fully do. Cassie's account sheds light on the extreme lengths to which her alleged abuser went to assert dominance, turning what might have been private acts into scenes of public humiliation, embedded within a broader pattern of exploitation. The legal and emotional impact of Cassie's testimony. When Cassie took the stand to recount these experiences, the explicit nature of her descriptions marked a pivotal moment in the courtroom. Such vivid testimony is uncommon in high-profile cases, where discretion or euphemism often prevail. Legal experts agree that although difficult to hear, detailed testimonies like Cassie's are crucial for jurors to fully understand the systemic abuse victims endured. Her words moved the narrative from abstract allegations to concrete, harrowing experiences, humanizing the victim's suffering. Rather than hearsay or vague accusations, jurors were confronted with clear, unflinching accounts of abuse, coercion, and degradation, illustrated by graphic, personal testimony. This level of detail helped dismantle the distance that sometimes exists between courtroom proceedings and real human trauma. Cassie's courage in openly sharing these traumatic memories has been widely acknowledged. However, it also exposed her to intense scrutiny. The defense team has aggressively challenged her credibility, spotlighting her past struggles with substance abuse and attempting to frame her as an unreliable witness, motivated by financial or personal gain. These tactics, common in cases involving abuse and assault, reflect a long-standing legal strategy aimed at casting doubt on victims rather than confronting the actions of powerful defendants. Advocates for survivors have criticized this approach as emblematic of a broader systemic problem, where victims are often blamed or discredited to protect those with wealth and influence. Such defense strategies can re-traumatize survivors, forcing them to relive painful events under hostile cross-examination, sometimes causing public skepticism about their accounts. Emotionally, the weight of reliving these experiences in open court is immense. Testifying about such intimate, degrading abuse in front of strangers, cameras, and even the accused demands extraordinary strength. For Cassie and other witnesses, the courtroom became both a site of justice and a stage for exposing their trauma, a double-edged sword. Despite the pressure, their testimonies offered a vital counterpoint to the often polished narratives crafted by the defense and celebrity PR teams. In a legal battle marked by power imbalances, the courtroom briefly transformed into a space where the truth, raw and unfiltered, could be heard and acknowledged. The broader implications: patterns of abuse and industry. Complicity, Cassie's testimony, is more than a singular account of abuse. It opens a window into a much broader issue entrenched within the entertainment industry: how celebrity culture can enable, obscure, and perpetuate abusive behavior. The glamorous facade of the music and entertainment world often conceals the exploitation behind the scenes. From the outside, freak-offs might have been dismissed as raucous celebrity parties, but they represent an insidious dynamic where power, fame, and wealth become tools of control. Cassie's revelations suggest that this pattern is not isolated, but emblematic of systemic problems that allow predators to operate with relative impunity. Even more disturbing is that such behavior was reportedly an open secret within industry circles. Many insiders allegedly knew about the abusive conduct but chose silence, whether out of fear, complicity, or self-preservation. The question this raises is chilling. How many others turned a blind eye or were intimidated into silence? How much suffering was swept under the rug to protect reputations and careers? Cassie's testimony, in this light, serves as a powerful challenge to that silence. It forces the industry and the public to confront uncomfortable truths about the cost of fame and the structures that enable abuse. It spotlights a culture where wealth and influence can shield wrongdoing and where victims face enormous hurdles in coming forward. The case also highlights the stark difficulties victims encounter when pursuing justice against powerful figures. Cassie's 2023 civil lawsuit against Diddy which was settled swiftly without admission of wrongdoing, initially seemed to quash her allegations. Many questioned why she would settle so quickly if her claims were valid. The answer, as this trial now reveals, may lie in the formidable legal and financial resources available to those at the top, resources that can buy silence, delay justice, and intimidate victims. Yet the criminal trial signals a turning point. Unlike civil suits, criminal proceedings carry the weight of state authority and public accountability, making it far harder for powerful defendants to evade scrutiny. Cassie's testimony, backed by corroborating evidence, is helping to crack open the door to truth and accountability. It demonstrates that money and influence, while potent, cannot forever protect individuals from facing justice. The human cost beyond the headlines. Behind the sensational headlines, legal jargon, and courtroom theatrics lies a deeply human story, one of trauma, resilience, and an unyielding quest for justice. Cassie's testimony, graphic and painful as it is, reminds us that victims are not mere characters in a scandal, but people whose lives have been profoundly affected. The degradation Cassie described involving bodily fluids was not simply a physical violation, it was a direct assault on her dignity, identity, and humanity. Such acts transcend physical harm to wound a person's sense of self, often leaving lasting emotional and psychological scars. The complexity of these wounds means healing can be a long, difficult journey. Her decision to come forward, despite the enormous personal cost, exemplifies the courage required to confront abusers and disrupt cycles of silence. For survivors like Cassie, speaking out is not just about seeking justice, it's an act of reclaiming agency and affirming their worth beyond the trauma inflicted upon them. This case also highlights the importance of support systems for survivors, from legal protections and trauma-informed care to public empathy. The path toward healing and justice is rarely linear, and acknowledging the full humanity of victims is crucial in fostering environments where others may one day feel safe to speak out. Conclusion: the ongoing trial against Sean Diddy. Combs transcends the confines of a typical celebrity legal case, emerging as a critical examination of how power and influence can be wielded to exploit and silence victims. It highlights a culture deeply entrenched in secrecy and complicity, where the allure of fame and fortune often masks systemic abuse. At the heart of this case is Cassandra Ventura's courageous testimony, which sheds light on the disturbing freak-off culture, a world far removed from the glamour it outwardly projects, revealing the calculated manipulation and degradation inflicted upon young women under the guise of opportunity. Cassie's vivid and unflinching descriptions of the humiliating acts she endured are not merely shocking details for sensational headlines. They represent the profound human cost of abuse that goes beyond physical harm to encompass deep psychological and emotional wounds. Her story underscores the reality that these abuses were tools of control, meant to strip away dignity and assert dominance in a way that leaves lasting scars. By speaking openly about these experiences, Cassie has transformed from a victim silenced by fear and intimidation into a powerful voice for justice, challenging the very systems that have long protected influential perpetrators. Ultimately, the significance of this trial extends beyond its legal outcome. It is a cultural moment demanding society reckon with uncomfortable truths about abuse and accountability. The voices of survivors like Cassie challenge us to listen, believe, and support those who dare to confront their abusers. Their courage paves the way for change, both within the entertainment industry and beyond, fostering a future where abuse can no longer be hidden behind the veil of celebrity and influence. This trial is not just about one man's alleged actions. It is about a collective call for justice, recognition, and meaningful reform.